Sales analytics, outsourcing data insights, from data everywhere to insight nowhere. Most B2B teams are drowning in activity data, but starving for answers. Your CRM logs every touch, your dialer tracks outcomes, your cold email agency tool shows opens and replies, and your marketing stack keeps feeding new leads. Yet when leadership asks which sequences actually create qualified meetings for your ICP, the conversation often turns into opinions instead of evidence. That gap is more common than it should be. Forrester has reported that only about 6% of B2B organizations qualify as advanced, insight-driven businesses, which explains why "we think" still shows up in pipeline reviews. If you can't consistently connect activity to meetings, opportunities, and revenue, your outbound sales agency motion becomes guesswork. At the same time, your team doesn't have spare capacity to fix it the hard way. Salesforce research found reps spend only 28% of their week actually selling, with the rest going to admin work and internal coordination. Outsourcing data insights is about turning messy, scattered signals into simple plays your SDRs and AEs can use, without adding another reporting burden. Why sales analytics is a revenue lever, not a nice-to-have. Sales analytics matters because it changes decisions from best guess to repeatable process. When you can see which segments convert, which messages earn real conversations, and where deals stall, you stop treating pipeline like a black box. That's especially important for sales outsourcing and outsourced sales team models, where speed and clarity determine ROI. The upside of getting analytics right is huge. Research often cited from McKinsey indicates data-driven organizations are 23x more likely to acquire customers, 6x more likely to retain them, and 19x more likely to be profitable. In practical SDR terms, that translates into fewer wasted accounts, cleaner targeting, and faster iteration on what actually books meetings. Good analytics also protects your team's time. If your cold calling services and B2B cold calling services are running at scale, small improvements compound quickly. A modest lift in connect rate, a slightly better opener, or a tighter list can move meeting volume without increasing headcount. The goal isn't more dashboards, it's fewer debates and more actions tied to revenue. Why outsourcing data insights beats building everything in-house. Building a full analytics capability in-house is rarely a quick win. You need hiring, onboarding, data access, governance, and time to learn your go-to-market context. And that timeline often collides with quarterly targets. Outsourcing lets you start with outcomes, meetings, opportunities, pipeline velocity, while someone else handles the data engineering and analysis work. The economics are hard to ignore. Many teams estimate a dedicated senior analytics hire can cost well over $225K fully loaded, while analytics outsourcing and related BPO models can save up to 70% in labor and infrastructure costs. That difference is why analytics is increasingly treated like a specialized function you plug in, rather than a department you slowly build. And it's not a fringe practice anymore. Roughly 75% of companies use external providers to leverage data and analytics, and the data analytics outsourcing market is projected to grow from about $21.91 billion in 2025 to $183.17 billion by 2032. In other words, the vendor ecosystem is getting deeper, more mature, and more tailored to revenue teams like yours. What to outsource versus what to keep in-house. The cleanest model is simple. Keep strategy in-house and outsource the heavy lifting. Your leadership and RevOps team should own ICP definition, territories, positioning, and the decisions that change comp plans or headcount. Your partner should own stitching data together, building repeatable reporting, and turning questions into analyses that can be tested. Where outsourcing consistently pays off is the work that's essential but easy to defer. Data hygiene, enrichment, deduplication, attribution, and ongoing measurement. Inaccurate contact data alone can waste about 546 hours per rep per year, and improving data quality has been associated with 32% higher revenue and a 50% reduction in prospecting time. If you run an SDR agency motion, or you're trying to hire SDRs and ramp fast, clean inputs are what make the rest of the analytics trustworthy. Outsourcing also works well for performance analysis across channels, cold calling companies and call outcomes, cold email agency results, and the combined cadence performance by segment. A good partner won't just say reply rates went up. They'll tell you which personas, industries, and talk tracks created meetings, and which ones inflated vanity metrics. At SalesHive, we treat this as part of execution because insights that don't make it into workflows won't change results. Dashboards don't create pipeline. Decisions and experiments do. How to start? Lead with revenue questions, not dashboards. If you want outsourced analytics to drive pipeline, start your kickoff with 3 to 5 uncomfortable revenue questions you currently can't answer. Examples include which sequences generate SQLs, not just replies, which ICP tiers produce the best LTV to CAC, and how many touches it truly takes to book a meeting by segment. This forces the work to begin with decisions, not visualizations. Then translate those questions into measurable SDR KPIs and baseline them. Meeting volume, connects per rep, meetings per 100 accounts touched, and conversion to qualified opportunities are the types of leading indicators that tell you whether analytics is actually helping your sales development agency motion. When we run outsourced sales team programs, we align analysis to the same cadence our managers coach from, so insight becomes action within the week. Finally, pilot before you scale. Pick one region, vertical, or product line, run a focused data cleanup and analysis sprint, and ship 1 or 2 playbook updates that reps can execute immediately. If you can prove a measurable lift in 60 to 90 days, expanding the scope becomes an easy decision instead of a leap of faith. Best practices that make outsourced analytics actually work. Treat analytics outsourcing as an ongoing operating rhythm, not a one-time reporting project. One-off dashboards go stale fast because the market shifts, messaging evolves, and your sequences change. The durable model is a monthly performance review plus a weekly working session where your SDR manager, RevOps, and the analytics partner agree on the next test and the exact behavior change it should create. Make data hygiene a shared responsibility so the system doesn't collapse under its own weight. Reps should follow a few non-negotiables: consistent dispositions, accurate meeting outcomes, and clean account ownership, while the partner handles enrichment, validation, and deduping. This keeps the rep burden low while steadily improving the quality of the data that powers your B2B sales outsourcing decisions. Keep outputs simple and mapped to workflows. Complex next best action models often die because reps don't trust them or don't understand them, especially in high-activity environments like B2B cold calling. Ask for priority tiers, short do this next recommendations, and one-page playbooks managers can coach from, and validate usability with a small group of frontline reps before rolling changes across the whole team. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. A common failure mode is letting the analytics partner operate in a silo. If they don't sit in on pipeline reviews, listen to call recordings, or see real email threads, they'll optimize for vanity metrics like opens and clicks instead of meetings and revenue. The fix is simple. Bring them into weekly SDR stand-ups and monthly deal retros, so insights are grounded in real conversations. Another mistake is outsourcing insights without fixing the basics of your CRM and engagement tools. Messy records create misleading win rate analysis, broken attribution, and sequences that keep hitting dead contacts, which is brutal for any cold calling team or pay-per-appointment lead generation motion. Start with a short data health check, document the biggest issues, and make cleanup and enrichment an explicit part of the scope. The third mistake is ignoring security and compliance when sharing sales data. You're moving personal contact information and sensitive deal context across systems, which means you need a lightweight vendor review, data processing agreements, access controls, regional hosting considerations, and deletion policies. Share only what's necessary and use role-based access so your outsourced partner can do the work without overexposure. Turning analytics into experiments that lift meetings. The highest ROI from outsourced analytics comes from structured experimentation, not passive reporting. Test subject lines, call openers, step timing, channel mix, and ICP tiers, and treat every test as a decision you'll either scale or kill quickly. This is where an outbound sales agency can outperform internal teams. High activity volume creates faster learning cycles when measurement is tight. Tie experimentation to a few durable operating metrics, then review them weekly. If your analytics work isn't improving meetings booked, opportunity creation, or pipeline velocity, it's noise, even if the charts look great. This is also where we see the best collaboration between sales outsourcing execution and analytics. Teams can run more tests in parallel without distracting reps. Looking ahead, the direction of travel is clear. Gartner has predicted that by 2026, 65% of B2B sales organizations will shift from intuition-based decisions to data-driven decision-making, using tools that unify workflow, data, and analytics. If you start now with a focused pilot, clean data, and an experimentation cadence, you'll build an advantage that compounds quarter after quarter.